Tuesday, April 28, 2026, AGNDD Intelli Report topic. UAE's OPEC exit deals. Major blow to cartel amid Middle East oil squeeze. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this partially AI-generated article-based video. United Arab Emirates' OPEC exit deals major blow to cartel amid Middle East oil squeeze. Sudden departure threatens an organization that has been hobbled by internal disunity and the rise of American oil output. By Summer Said, Georgie Kanchev, Rebecca Feng, and Benoit Faucon. The Wall Street Journal. Updated April 28, 2026, 12:36 p.m. ET. The war in Iran has exacerbated rifts among OPEC's member states. Lisa Leutner, Associated Press. Quick summary. The United Arab Emirates announced its departure from OPEC and OPEC+, dealing a heavy blow to the oil cartel. The UAE seeks freedom to expand oil output and secure export routes amid the Iran war and Strait of Hormuz blockage. The exit removes 13% of OPEC's production capacity, damaging the organization's market management capabilities. This summary was generated with AI and reviewed by an editor. Read more about how we use artificial intelligence in our journalism. The United Arab Emirates said it would leave OPEC, dealing a heavy blow to the oil cartel as the war in Iran scrambles alliances and investment priorities among the world's top oil producers. The sudden departure of OPEC's third biggest producer further weakens a bloc that, despite producing up to 4 out of every 10 barrels of oil pumped worldwide, has been hobbled by internal disunity and the rise of American oil output. The war in Iran has piled on more pressure by exacerbating rifts among the Arab countries at the core of the group and by closing the Strait of Hormuz, through which the group's biggest producers export most of their oil, making it impossible for the group to influence the market during its biggest supply shock. The UAE is in a relatively privileged position with the ability to circumvent the blockage in the strait by routing more than half of its oil exports across the country. Withdrawing from OPEC will give it more freedom to make investments to expand its output and adjust to the uncertain future of the waterway. The UAE in recent years has asked to produce more of its oil under OPEC's output accords. It has grown less willing to compromise as its relations with OPEC heavyweight Saudi Arabia, a neighbor and sometimes military partner, have frayed amid competition for regional leadership. By withdrawing, the UAE is diminishing its relationship with a long-standing Arab-led bloc and aligning itself more closely with the U.S. The decision to withdraw from OPEC is part of a broader decision by the UAE to chart its own path when it comes to alliances, said Eric Alter, the dean of the Anwar Gargash Diplomatic Academy in Abu Dhabi, which is close to the Emirati government. The UAE said it would also exit OPEC+, a group of major oil producers that includes Russia, and gradually increase production afterward, it added. Its departure therefore removes one of the core pillars underpinning OPEC's ability to manage the market, said Jorge Leon, head of geopolitical analysis at consulting firm Ristad Energy and a former energy demand analyst at OPEC. Losing a member with 4.8 million barrels a day of capacity and the ambition to produce more takes a real tool out of the group's hands. Gulf OPEC delegates have warned that the UAE's departure wouldn't only reduce the organization's ability to manage the market, but could spur more defections, as several members have chafed at Saudi Arabia's dominance in the group. The exit takes away 13% of OPEC's production capacity, according to figures by the International Energy Agency, damaging the organization's market management capabilities. Alongside Saudi Arabia, the UAE is one of the few members with meaningful spare capacity, or the ability through which the group exerts market influence and responds to supply shocks. Brent crude, the international oil benchmark, was little moved after the announcement, with the most actively traded contract hovering just above $104 a barrel. While near-term volatility, including disruptions in the Arabian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, continues to affect supply dynamics, underlying trends point to sustained growth in global energy demand over the medium to long term, the UAE said. After the debut of U.S. shale oil, OPEC's power to sway markets appeared greatly diminished. It teamed up with Russia, adding market share and pricing power. In recent weeks, OPEC producers have privately complained that attacks by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz have stripped them of their position as the main influence over swings in the oil market. The UAE has taken the brunt of Iran's retaliatory attacks during the war. Iran has fired more than 2,800 drones and missiles at the country, far more than it fired at any other in the Gulf or even Israel. Prominent Emirati voices have complained loudly that while the U.S. and even Israel helped with its defense, Arab countries' contributions were mixed. The Iran war is likely to have sharpened the view in Abu Dhabi that existing relationships may not have proven their value in a time of crisis. Christian Coates Ulrichsen, a Persian Gulf expert and fellow with Rice University's Baker Institute. The war has also rattled the UAE's economic model, which was built on its reputation as an oasis in a dangerous region. Tourism revenue has plunged during the war, which has disrupted flights and led many expatriates to flee the country, raising the importance of the earnings from its oil. By breaking free from OPEC's rigid quotas, the UAE gains the flexibility to aggressively increase its oil production on its own terms. It is among the world's lowest-cost oil producers, and its government can balance its budget at a lower oil price than most Gulf peers. UAE's independence also allows the country to redirect capital toward securing its export routes, most notably by investing heavily in overland pipelines designed to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, ensuring its crude can reach global markets uninterrupted by maritime choke points or Iranian threats. The UAE has production capacity of 4.8 million barrels a day and is currently allowed around 3.4 million barrels a day under OPEC's quota system. Once outside the group, it will have both the incentive and the ability to increase production. The UAE has invested heavily in expanding capacity through Abu Dhabi National Oil Company over the years, and its oil is relatively cheap to produce, said Michael Hay, head of commodities research at Société Générale. While the war has accelerated the UAE's departure from the cartel, OPEC delegates said it had been drifting away for some time. Its exit marks the first time a top producer has quit the group. Until now, only smaller oil producers like Qatar, Angola, or Ecuador have left. "It's the hardest blow ever," said Homayoun Falak-Shahi, a senior oil analyst at commodities data company Kepler. "It raises the question about whether OPEC can survive." Benoit Faucon is a Middle East correspondent for the Wall Street Journal. He focuses on the geopolitics of oil, Iran, and Russia's involvement in Africa and the Middle East. He also has strayed into investigative stories such as pharmaceutical counterfeits, sanctions, money laundering, and terror. Georgi Konchev is a foreign correspondent for the Wall Street Journal covering the intersection of geopolitics, economics, and energy in the Middle East. Previously, Georgi was stationed in Berlin, writing about the global implications of the Ukraine war. Earlier, he was based in Moscow, writing. Rebecca Fang is a London-based energy markets reporter for the Wall Street Journal. She covers global oil markets, geopolitics and energy, the green transition, and beyond. Rebecca was previously based in Hong Kong for the Journal, covering finance, banking, and market stories across Asia. She got. Summer Said is a correspondent covering energy and Saudi Arabia from the Wall Street Journal's Middle East Bureau. Her stories often cover the connection between oil and the region's geopolitics. She has also written several investigative political and business stories on Saudi Arabia. She has comments. Steve Weeks, just now. When a fellow OPEC member fires 2,800 missiles and drones at you during a 5-week shooting conflict that you didn't start, it makes a ton of sense to flash the middle finger at OPEC and exit stage right. I just wish they would have fired back. Tom Yulee. Just now. Will not happen in my lifetime. But sometime in the future there will be viable alternatives to oil and Western countries will not be dependent on the Middle East. Rich K. Just now. You have to wonder what was going on in the minds of the Middle East oil producers that they left themselves so dependent on the strait with a known bad actor. One of my curiosities in life is why there can be such poor decision-making when there are such obvious risks. You would think these countries were doing strategic analysis, and if so, what was wrong with the decision-making or the consultants? Clearly, money was not a problem. You just have to wonder. That said, I have gotten myself into trouble with hiking events that should have been obvious. Something about our human nature and... C. Cook. Just now. We have lived through an era where the DNC, EU, UN, and other political groups sang, "We are the world," while acting in their own self-interest on the side. They all knew it was a scam, but sold to the naive media and ignorant, educated populace. Countries and organizations have always acted in their own self-interest. Working together was always situational and usually short-term. One side would take advantage of the situation and the other would react. Eventually. NATO is a perfect example. Up until recently, only 3 countries paid their agreed-to percentage of GDP on defense. Why bother when US would cover for them? French can take 2-hour lunches and hairdressers can retire at 55 when the tax money isn't going to defending the country. Many times working together made sense, but in the end the partnership hit the rocks. Time to stop being naive and realize the way the world is. It appears that OPEC is at that point. Bruce Fernandez. 1 hour ago, this is a nothing burger that is not attributable to Trump's actions. Trump has grabbed defeat from the jaws of victory and has massively overplayed his hand, leaving Iran with a much stronger hold card for now. Even if Trump and his team considered using our Navy to escort ships and barges through the straits, his team never imagined that the straits would become an insurance matter. Our Navy could escort, but insurance and insurability is the problem now. UAE has been signaling their future intentions for a long time. Wanting higher output put them at odds with other OPEC members, so leaving OPEC now is more about UAE using this time to take that first step in their long-term plans. UAE wants to follow the path of Saudi Arabia away from an oil revenue-based economy to include significant self-reliance in country on alternative energy internally and build an economy for their future based on finance and travel and industry, fading from over-reliance on oil revenues. Cecil Patterson. Just now. This is great news. The Iranians keep shooting themselves in the foot. The biggest mistake they made was attacking their Arab members. Now they have no friends left except China and Russia. Russia is on the decline and China only cares about China. And in 10 years the Strait of Hormuz will become irrelevant as all the other Gulf nations find workarounds so this doesn't happen again. John Monroe. 2 hours ago. And so it begins. Thanks, Donnie. Your legacy will be assassination attempts, energy price increases, and conflict. Tony. P. 2 hours ago. If UAE increases production, how will that increase prices? Shane Payton. 2 hours ago. The way the reckless and infantile behavior of the most despicable man in the world has forever changed how the world will operate going forward is a huge win for the Republican Party. You did it. You got everything you wanted, and it turns out you were wrong about everything. John Ransom. 2 hours ago. How is this a negative for the U.S.? Wilbur Rollins. 2 hours ago. Nonsense, utter nonsense. Steve C. 2 hours ago. UAE is doing the right thing for its own interests. This Iran war shows UAE will always be taken for granted, not matter how hard it tries to be a good little brother within OPEC. J.R. Katz. OPEC. The cartel's days may be numbered. This is great news. Indira M. Just now. Who needs the UAE, which is a deeply corrupted family of unimaginable money? When we got Guyana, Venezuela, Iran, parts of Africa that is producing so much natural resources, the only person loving this is Mr. Trump and USA big investors and the tech companies. Let them ride that waning wave. Jay Fannin. Just now, LOL. The UAE leaving OPEC is good news for the economies of Europe and the USA. T. Stanley, 1 hour ago, IMHO, in my honest opinion. Another sign of the transformation in the Middle East that is directly linked to the changes started with the Abraham Accords. The Middle East is slowly moving into modern times. If Trump's end game works and opens the strait and stops nuke development, it will be as significant as the Berlin Wall falling. Eric Pound, just now, this is a good thing. OPEC has been extorting the rest of the world for years. Walter Taylor, 1 hour ago. Not sure how this is a bad thing, but the posters here seem to think it is. UAE leaving OPEC reduces that body's ability to set high prices and control production output. UAE pumping more oil will lower prices. OPEC has been a constant thorn and threat in the side of the world for decades. Any cracks in that foundation is a good thing. I don't see how Trump has much to do with this, but I guess in the minds of the left, when you have only a hammer, everything looks like a nail. John Ransom, 1 hour ago, yes, everything is bad, LOL. Trump cures cancer. The left. What about those poor oncologists? John Ransom, 1 hour ago. I think some commenters are missing the obvious. The UAE, when it frees itself from OPEC and when the strait is open, will no longer be subjected to artificial production caps. Good for them and good for the world. Yuri Victor Visite, 2 hours ago. Here is an example of unintended positive results from President Trump's actions. Granted, it's only kind we get that are positive, but we must be objective and point them out. It's a bit like a man who starts a forest fire and a village burns down. One of the houses was dilapidated and worth more from fire insurance than standing. John Kramer, 1 hour ago. There's the whole nuclear weapons thing. No more funding Hamas or Hezbollah, firing missiles at Tel Aviv, Diego Garcia, or London, shutting down the Iranian oil for Chinese weapons pipeline. RMI, 2 hours ago, unintended or not forecasted. Trump has criticized OPEC for over a decade, talking about how they are ripping off the world and wanting them to be eliminated. Ellis Wright, 1 hour ago. Why is this positive? Seems like UAE will export oil to places we could be exporting. Is it positive because OPEC is getting weaker and they are dangerous in some way? Judy Newworth, 1 hour ago. OPEC has basically had the entire world over a barrel, so to speak, since the 1970s. So yes, it is not a force for good. Dan Wojcik, 1 hour ago. OPEC was formed to control prices and supplies. Thus, it is like a monopoly. If members spin off, would that not weaken that monopoly and free up production? If you believe in free and open markets, that could be good. If you believe in the control of production, this might be bad. Clayton C., 1 hour ago. I believe in free markets. So yes, this is good for consumers.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD Intelli Report, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.